Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Movie Pop. I'm DJ Washington, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Lawrence Hamber.
Hey guys.
And we're talking about the latest cinematic dumpster fire, Dark Phoenix.
Oof, dumpster fire.
Ugh.
Brutal. Jesus.
It's been pretty brutal, man, because leading up to the release of this film, we've heard several reports from people on production, several rumors, I should say, from those involved with the production of this film, that it was going to be a cinematic dumpster fire. This is going to be a terrible film, a horrible film. It's just a train wreck to watch. So,
Yeah,
my expectations going to this film were, of course,
pretty much that.
pretty
Yeah,
much
mine
that.
too.
It doesn't help to say that the director of this film, Simon Kinberg, has no directorial credits whatsoever, besides one, and that is the finale episode of my favorite show, the CBS All Access Twilight Zone.
Oh God, here we go again. We're never gonna get rid of it.
So,
Guys, in case you haven't heard, DJ really loves CBS. You should tell him how much
yeah,
you guys love CBS so he can respond.
God. I finally canceled my subscription. I couldn't handle it anymore. But that just goes to show you, like, what kind of vote of confidence I had going into this film. So, I was surprised, to say the least, that upon viewing this film yesterday, that it wasn't the cinematic dumpster fire that everyone said it was going to be.
Yeah,
I felt like it was
had potential to be a dumpster fire. I'll give it
for
that.
sure.
But I kind of agree with you. I don't think it was,
No.
but I think everyone's complaints were definitely valid after watching it. I'm like, when I was watching it, like, I can totally understand why people would hate this movie.
Well, let's go into that. Like, what our impressions of the film were. And let me.
Sure.
I'll start off. I'm gonna say, like, I thought this film started off the first act, boom, started off with a bang. We
Yeah,
have the
I
X-Men.
questioned why people wouldn't like it in the beginning.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
we have the X-Men,
Yeah.
we've seen this in the trailer. They're going off on their space mission, and it's all very
Yeah.
engaging and very enticing, and the action, the pacing, the acting, the CGI effects, everything is coming together in full fold, and I'm enjoying what I'm seeing on screen. And I think where the film begins to suffer is throughout the second act of the film, and of course with how the film is tied up towards the end. What were your thoughts, Lawrence, viewing this film briefly?
Well, I feel like we're not going to go into spoilers. This is completely spoiler free. But I thought the kind of the basis for I guess the villain, you can say, was just unneeded and stupid, and I hated that whole part of the story. Guess what, guys? The villain's going after world dominance. Never heard of that before. Oh boy.
If she was a man, she would have a mustache and she'd be twirling it.
I mean, I guess there technically was like a man, like the other guy,
Right.
the black man. Yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff. I don't know how deep you want me to go. You just want me to give me like quick thoughts, right? I don't know
Yeah,
if we're
yeah,
going.
just quick thoughts. What your impression of the film was?
I mean, it feels very convoluted, their story. I feel like they're trying to do too many things all at once when really the Dark Phoenix saga is a great story in itself, and I feel like they don't fully embrace that. And it's like, well, F you, dude. Anyone who's, knows about the saga and has heard about that, because I watched the cartoons as a kid, and it was great. The cartoons are great. I didn't read the comics, but the cartoons were amazing. And, like, come on, guys. There's so much source material, and it's totally missed opportunity.
Yeah, I've heard
Just
that a
sucks,
lot from
man.
people who are very familiar with the actual backstory from the source material. I don't know anything about the source material, so I understand there are two perspectives about how to look at this film. Those who understand
Right.
the source material, and of course, they're going to have their natural gripes when the film doesn't come to par with the source material. And then there's going to be
Yeah.
people like me who have either a very superficial knowledge of the source material or have no knowledge of it whatsoever, and are viewing this film purely on the merits of the film as a self-contained story. And I think it failed on both perspectives.
Spectacularly, I'd
Yeah.
say.
There are a lot of issues I took to heart about this film. Some having to deal with the characters in the film, and I guess we can just kind of just dive into our pros and cons about the film.
Sure.
While I'm
Yeah.
on that subject,
Unleash me, baby.
one of my cons about this movie, drunk Xavier. What the hell was going on with that?
is he like a drunk? I feel like
he wasn't like necessarily like a drunk, but it was like every time like Beast or anybody like tried to confront him about his supposed mistakes or shortcomings.
he's like, shit, let me grab the alcohol.
Yeah, he's like grabbing the whiskey bottle and like stirring it around in the cup, and I'm just like, what? What's going on? It's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm in denial. I was like, okay, that's not the Xavier I know, you know?
I know, but I mean, it's like a past Xavier, like it's like an early young Xavier. It's not the Xavier we know in the end, you know, because you've always known the old Xavier.
Yeah, but since when is he just drinking a whiskey bottle and just blowing off like his?
My pain point was Sophie Turner's Jean Grey.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't think it was her fault, and I don't think she's a bad actress. But her skills did not show through in this movie, and I think the writing was terrible for her.
For sure.
I don't think it's completely her fault. They gave her almost no lines. It's called Dark Phoenix. She is Dark Phoenix, and they give her the shittiest lines to work with. She's basically forced to be a robot the entire movie. It's like, come on, guys! Like,
I don't know. I'm gonna disagree with that. Like, I thought her performance was solid. I don't think she was a robot at all. I thought
she's crying. She's crying in every scene. It's the same emotion every time. It's like,
but yeah,
come on.
I understood that. It made sense to me. I mean, she's been basically like molested by some celestial force, and now she's like a walking nuclear bomb, and she just killed her. Well, we know this already from the trailer, but somebody dies in the movie, and she's responsible for that death, and death is kind of like following her now, and she's trying to come to terms with this. She was a child who was born without a family.
No reactions, by the way.
She's lost her family, and I felt like she dealt with the source, or rather the script, very well. I thought the acting,
I'm sure they gave her nothing to work off of. I could kind of tell.
Yeah, I mean, the script was very dry.
Yeah, like, holy shit. I mean, she did what she could, but there's not much there.
Right. I'll say, in terms of robotic acting, I'm going to have to hand it off to Jessica Chastain. Because I'll say this for one. When I saw Jessica Chastain in the trailers, right, she looked like an alien. She just looked freaky. She had this weird, like, bone structure. She had her hair bleached blonde, her eyebrows, like, bleached blonde. Just didn't, like, look totally unnatural. So I'm like, okay, cool. She's going to play, like, some alien or some mutant we haven't seen before. And as it turns out, her character in the movie, her physical representation, is actually based off just a normal human being who is then, taken over by an alien being. And that was kind of jarring to me, because I'm like, she didn't look natural as a human to me. It would have made more sense if she would look like regular Jessica Chastain with the red hair, and then once the alien took over her body, then she became kind of weird looking. That kind of threw me off. That was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What else you were going to say?
No, and then another issue about the whole. Well, we're talking non-spoilers here, so yeah, I won't say anything on that part.
I mean, like I said earlier, it just bugs me that the movie's called Dark Phoenix, and I feel like it had very little to do. I mean, obviously she's kind of a big part of the story, but it's not really the main part of the story. Yeah. It's just like, here's the Dark Phoenix saga, and she's in it, but it's like, I can really just sigh. Like that's all I can do. It's just, the Dark Phoenix saga puts Jean Grey at the center of conflict in which she doesn't know. She basically alternates between being good and bad, and then she dies and she comes back, and it just like constantly goes like that. And it's basically the X-Men versus Magneto's X-Men.
Right.
And she's in the middle of it, and she's kind of a neutral, because she's the Dark Phoenix, so she's kind of possessed by this power, and she's kind of like a neutral faction, and she's so powerful she's able to basically fight both of them at the same time. And so she's basically the chaos that is thrown into this war that they have, and none of that is explored. I mean, there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to give away too much of the story, but really none of that is really explored. She's just kind of like has these problems, and they try to like help her, and she's just, yeah, I don't know. And then this villainous faction gets thrown into the mix, and it just, it's really disappointing.
Well, then let's wrap it up here with our final thoughts on the film. I'm gonna say that I thought this film was a mixed bag. It wasn't a cinematic dumpster fire that we were all led to believe it might
Yeah.
be. It has some fantastic acting, some really really great and imaginative CGI. I was very impressed with the practical effects, the set pieces, some of the action, especially in the third act of the film regarding Magneto on a train. I thought were just very engaging.
Yeah.
But there are some issues with this film, in particular with the internal logic and story of this self-contained movie, and then also how it relates to all the other X-Men films before it. Because I find myself constantly questioning, where does this film fit into the timeline of the X-Men films that have led up to it? And I know Days of Future Past kind of threw a wrench into the engine, so to speak, but none of that was really explained, and that left me confused a lot of the times, wondering where we were in terms of the timeline of the movie. All in all, I feel like this movie, unfortunately, could have been so much more, especially being the final film of the X-Men series owned by Fox, as it's now going to be adapted by Disney, who owns the property. And really, films that came before it did a lot better, namely Days of Future Past and X-Men's
All of them were
First
great.
Class.
That's why I had expectations. All the ones before this were awesome.
So your final thoughts, Lawrence?
Yeah, and I know I trashed on this movie a lot, but like you said, there's a lot of great actors in this movie. Jennifer Lawrence, guy who plays Magneto. I'm so bad with names.
Michael Fassbender.
Mike Fassbender. He's an excellent actor. The list goes on and on. There's tons of great talent. The CGI, like you said, was amazing. I liked most of the scenes, like the battle scenes, or just when the mutants are using their powers. It all was great. Like I said, opens with a scene like that. It is great. It's just the story doesn't hold up. The story is not true to the source material. The story is not anything to write home about. You can honestly skip this film. There's probably better stuff out there right now to watch, and that's what's so disappointing. Like, this is supposed to be, Dark Phoenix is supposed to be the pinnacle of like the X-Men story, and it just total miss on the story front. But yeah, it's action. The action's good. It's great. You're gonna enjoy it. But I think you can totally just miss it, skip it, rent it. Nothing great.
It's saying a lot.
I wouldn't.
It's saying a lot coming from Action Boy Lawrence.
Yeah, it's just you got to have some story in there too,
Right.
So you can't just have mindless action. It's like a Rambo movie,
Yep. So all right, yeah, I'm gonna throw you throw the score out first, and I'll see where I'm at.
All right, I'm giving this movie a 3.
There we go. I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5 bags of popcorn too. So that wraps it up for us today here at Movie Pop, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please make sure to follow us online at Instagram at Movie Pop Official, on Twitter at Real Movie Pop, on Facebook at Movie Pop Official, because we have a official title now.
Thank you, guys. You know the drill. All the support you guys give us means a bunch to us. We're working really hard on trying to get this channel, going, pushing forward, getting on that grind. As always, anytime you guys show up, watch our videos, comment, anything, any support you guys give us just means a lot, and I appreciate those of you that have joined us on this journey. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, guys.